What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna have a look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max and also Pro. And the video you just saw was actually shot entirely with the 15 Pro Max using the Blackmagic camera app, free by the way. Insane app. I love Blackmagic, I love DaVinci. First things first, we have native lock in a phone, which is insane. I think it's a world first. Shooting ProRes 422, 422 HQ and 4444, lovely codec names, without external recorder like there, for example, is actually insane. The HQ and the 444 will need SSD attached via the lovely USB-C port, which is awesome in one thing, but it was, while shooting, a little cumbersome to have a cable and kind of holding the SSD while like filming stuff. So a grip or a case, some kind of rigging for the SSD, possibly a microphone, maybe a small LED. Probably a good idea if you're a serious mobile filmmaker, which nowadays is actually not as ridiculous as it might sound. Because if you come from these kind of systems, like a proper full frame camera, it's much less effort to get going. Running and gunning is really easy, and the thing is, as they say, the best camera is the one that you have with you. The one thing I always have with me is this. So missing a shot is a problem of the past, really. Anyway, so the video that you just saw was obviously shot in ProRes Log 422. I don't really see a point to go above that in terms of quality or codec. Obviously graded, so here's the ungraded footage and then here graded. And I'm actually quite impressed with that. Sure, some shots are noisy and I did not apply any noise reduction just to like actually show that. But you know, I think for such a small sensor in like quite dark environments, and I like shooting in dark environments, but it's challenging. I don't know if we can ask for more, you know. Obviously the sensor is much smaller than a full frame or even APS-C, so take that for what it's worth, you know. It's still a freaking phone, and for that I think it's insane. 10-bit log footage, blows my mind. So then the question came up, like, is there any difference between the Pro and the Pro Max? Luckily we have both here, and I tried to kind of compare them. So let's swoop in here. And here we have a 30-second exposure shot in RAW with the main camera, because the others are pretty much unusable in terms of low light, that is. But more about that in a second. This is unedited. That's how it came out of the camera. Also, little side note, if you want to shoot 30-second exposures, you gotta have a tripod or some way to like keep the phone stationary and really jitter free. Like just shaking the table here a little will already not allow to shoot 30-second exposures. So tripod or some way where it's really not moving at all, and then either with an Apple Watch, if you have one, you can remote shutter or use the delay timer, 3 seconds or 10 seconds, or just be very careful. If it's dark enough and if you don't touch the phone, the 10-second will automatically switch to 30-second, as you can see here. And that's how you take 30-second exposures. In the metadata that the RAW files contain, we can see it just states 10-second exposures. I'm not really sure what's the deal there. I mean, obviously there's computational photography and all that good stuff, and I don't really understand the science behind all this. But my guess is that the iPhone kind of takes a frame, and then to a certain degree, all the other seconds are just light gathering. Now here, I tried to keep the frame as similar as possible. This is the 15 Pro. Same thing, raw shot, 30-second exposure, also states 10 in the metadata. And we can see the blues are much more, I mean, the entire white balance is already way off. Very different. So let's kind of try to match that a little. Exposure value wise, we're pretty close. Color, not so much. There's a bit of a green tint in the Pro Max, and I don't know, I will still have to do more tests for sure. I don't know, right off the bat, I kind of feel like the Pro looks better. The stars pop more. And the Pro shot the same 30-second exposure literally seconds after the initial shot with the Pro Max in ISO 2000. I kind of thought this would be the other way around, with the Max having a slightly bigger sensor, that it would need less ISO in order to get the same exposure. Not really sure. Maybe it's user error in terms of just, you know, I mean, they don't really give us manual options. I did put the focus point in both cases on this tree here, just so there's something, but I don't know. The Pro looked a little poppier, more contrasty than the Pro Max. That is my opinion at least. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Then obviously very bright stars are blown out. And there's a bit of artifacts here and there. But overall, holy guacamole, these are phones. And this was shot in a Border 4 Sky. It's just straight on the tripod. And for that, it's pretty good. It's just a little surprising that the Pro would shoot in ISO 2000 and the Pro Max went to 2500. Now, here's a shot with the Pro Max. Whoops, wrong button. Pro Max right there. Pretty insane. This is edited. Very happy with that. I mean, you know, a couple years ago, I would have been gushing over a shot like that. Not even kidding. And I've spent so many hours and countless of nights sitting there with the real camera, star trackers and all that jazz. And now 30-second single exposure with a smartphone. Bam, there you go, Milky Way. So how is the telezoom working in terms of astrophotography? Here you go. This is also a raw shot, completely unedited. And I attempted to capture the Orion Nebula, which is here. However, as you can see, I didn't even manage to get focus. Again, they don't give us any options. This is very consumer oriented. There is no manual options. And so for that, I would probably use the Moments app or any other paid pro camera app where you can rack focus yourself. That I have yet to try. But yeah, this is not really usable. The camera just didn't focus on any stars, and there's also a bit of light star trails, I guess, or coma. Quite a bit of chromatic aberration, but it was worth a shot. So yeah, I would say the telezooms, as great as they are, but it's for daylight. Just as a good example, if you have daylight, this is the 5x camera and normal exposure, no long exposure. 1/100th of a second, 2.8 ISO 100. The squirrel was actually quite far away. This is obviously edited. Here's the unedited version. And here's the edit. So pretty awesome. I mean, having a 120mm lens right in my pocket is actually really cool. And that was one of the reasons for upgrading. Now, here is what it looks like if you do a 30-second exposure with the ultra wide angle. Dare I say this is completely useless? There's definitely other phones that do that better. So wide angle, just like the telezoom, kind of something for daylight, not really for astrophotography. There's just nothing really there in terms of detail. Way too much noise. This is ISO 4000. Interestingly, the ultra wide angle states 3.3 second exposure, but this was 100% also a 30-second exposure. So really not sure what happens there. Is it like, it's like for 3.3 seconds, it actually captures the image and the rest is detail gathering, light gathering? I don't know. I really don't know. And then here's the same shot with the main cam, the 1X, and this is also edited. Here's the RAW. So that is definitely awesome. No complaints whatsoever. So should you upgrade? I don't know. Depends. Are you a pro user? Do you care about raw photos? Do you like editing your photos in Lightroom or whatever? Do you want to shoot 10-bit log ProRes 422, 422 HQ or 4444 footage onto an external SSD? Because 20 seconds of clip are like over 2 gigs right away. If yes, then yes. I think it's a no-brainer, really. Having that in a phone, insane. However, if you just want to like point and shoot and snap and capture moments and keep memories, I don't think it's worth the money. It's quite a bit of money, and if you don't use these features, a used 14 Pro, 13 Pro, whatever, is more than enough, honestly. All people that I know that bought this phone, be it the 15 Pro or the 15 Pro Max, they never turned on the lock function. They just don't care. They will never put this in any NLE software and start color grading their videos. It's all just standard app and standard functions, which is totally fine. This is what this is for, convenience. And if you're in that area, I wouldn't actually bother, because it's not really worth it. Other upgrades are not as huge to the previous model. So that's just my 2 cents here. If you have any questions, put them down below. If you know more than me about this, how this long exposure actually works, you know, in terms of you sit there for 30 seconds, but it says 1, 3, or 10 seconds in the metadata. Not sure why. So you let me know if you know, and we see each other next time. Happy shooting, clear skies. Cheers.